Hey everybody, this is Mr. Storm, and in this video we're going to finish up our idle game. In the last video we created this program here, which will allow us to display some text on the screen with our score in it, and allow us to draw buttons of any size, shape, and color that we'd like. As an example, this is what our program looks like right now. We have a click me button and an auto button, which will allow us to buy some generators. The thing is, none of those buttons work. Nothing works yet. Okay? So we need to fix it. Let's go ahead and fix it. All right, let's take a look here. So I have a variable for score, which is fantastic, but I think we might need some other variables in this game, right? So one of them is probably going to be auto income, meaning how much are we increasing our score every second by the generators. So like if I bought 2 generators, I should be generating 2 per second on top of what my score already is. So let's track that. So we're going to create a new variable called auto income. Let's set it to 0 at the beginning. One thing we also want to keep track of is how much is it going to cost for us to upgrade something, because we don't want it to be the same. We want it to increase every time we buy a new upgrade, so it gets more and more difficult to buy new upgrades. So upgrade underscore cost, let's set that equal to, I don't know, 10 in the beginning. Ooh, and now that we have this as a variable, what we could do is we can actually go into we can go into this this button here, and instead of saying 10, we can turn this into a formatted output, and we can say auto is upgrade cost. There we go. So now it'll change whenever we change this variable. Let's say it costs 50 to upgrade. When we draw our button, it's going to say auto 50 now instead of 10. Okay, cool. Let's go back to 10. Perfect. All right. Beautiful. All right, so what's next? Let's see. We've set up our screen. We've set up our score display. We have our click button function. Let's do our button clicked function real quick, just so we can register button clicks. So def button clicked. For this, we need an X and a Y because we're clicking the mouse somewhere. Okay. Now, one thing that can help us to figure out where our buttons are is we can actually print the value of X and Y. Let's do that real quick so we can test to see where our buttons are. So print, we're going to need to convert this to a string. And let's do the same thing for Y. And that's all I'm going to do in this function right now, because I just want to see where I'm clicking on the screen. I'm actually going to have to on click. I'm going to have to pass in button clicked. Okay. So now when I run this, wherever I click on the screen, I should see down here, it should tell me what my X is. The first number will be my X. The second number will be my Y. So let me go ahead and run this. So if I click in the top right or top left corner here, it'll tell me that's at -50 and -101. So I know that this line here is -50. This line here is roughly -100. If I click down here in this corner, I can see that I have +50 on the X and -150 on the Y. So I know that my parameters are going to be -50 X, +50, and on the Y it's going to be -150 Y, -100, right? So that's a quick way for us to figure out exactly what the boundaries of our buttons are, okay? So now when I come in here, I can write an if statement. If, what did I say, -50 for the X if negative 50 less than x less than positive 50, and negative 150 less than y less than negative 100, that means I've clicked inside of that button down there on the bottom. If that happens, if I've done that, then what I want to do is I want to add 1 to my score. So score plus equals 1. And I want to call the update score function, which is going to update the text on my score. So it'll show me that I have 1 more in my score. Let's test the button and see if it works. Okay, let me click. Uh-oh, we have a problem. Okay, so it says unbound local area or error. Local variable score referenced before assignment. This means we're using this score variable, which we created all the way up here, but score is just a local variable. What we need to do is we need to turn score into a global variable in order for us to use it inside this function. So what we can do is, it's actually really easy to do. We just type global and then the name of the variable. And so now score can be used inside this function to do whatever we want. Let's go ahead and run it again and let's test it. Hey, it worked. But hold on a second, there's a problem. Notice that my numbers are changing, but my previous scores aren't deleting. Let's go back to our write score. You know what we should do? Before we write the new score, SD, we should clear the previous one, and then it should work. Yeah, let's try that. So score is 0 now. Now it's 1. Now it's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the way up, as much as I want. Beautiful. So now the basic function of our clicker game, our idle game, is working. We can now generate more just by clicking. And the button works exactly like we want it to. It's working perfectly. But our auto button doesn't work yet. Let's work on getting that functioning next. So first what we want to do is actually before we modify the button click so that we can click on that button, let's actually set up our passive income system. That way we can actually get our score to update based on passive income. Let's do that first. So I'm going to write a new function. I'll do it right here, right above my button click, and we'll call it passive income. Okay. Now what passive income is going to do is it's going to basically add to my score whatever my passive income or my, what do we call it? Auto income, whatever my auto income variable is, we're going to add that to my score every second. But in order for us to keep track of seconds, we're going to need to import a new library here at the top. Instead of just importing turtle, we also need to import time so we can keep track of time. Okay, so make sure you import time at the top. All right, let's go back down to our passive income. So there's 2 variables we need for this. We need score and we need auto income. We need to turn these into global variables, so let's do that now. Global score and global auto income. I forgot what the name of the variable was. So now we can use those variables in this function. And what we want to do is say score plus equals auto income. Basically, whatever's in auto income, we're going to add that to whatever's already in score. Then we want to update our score. And we want to set a 1-second timer. And then at the end of that 1-second timer, we want to call this function again. Okay? So we're going to just keep calling this function over and over again for the rest of our game. All right? So what we do is we say s, because s is our screen, dot on timer, which is a function that we can use because we've passed it, because we've passed in time. So on timer, the first thing it wants is our function. Right here it says fun. We want the function that it's going to call, which is going to be passive income. And then it needs a time, we're going to say 1,000. So that's in milliseconds. So 1,000 milliseconds is 1 second. So every second, we're going to recall this passive income function. Now, before, in order for this to start working, though, we actually need to call it once to begin with. So let's call passive income so that we can get it started. And we're also going to need something called the game or the main loop, meaning we need something that's going to continuously run our program even if we already have a function going. Right now, the way we've set up this passive income function is it's going to keep running forever. We need to be able to do other things while that's running. So we need to call main loop on our screen so that it will continuously loop. Now, let's change this variable up here, auto income. Let's change auto income to 1, and let's run our program, and we should now see 1 get added to our score every second. Look at that. So our score is increasing by 1 every second. That's fantastic. Now all we have to do is we have to make this button add 1 to our auto income. Okay, let's change this back to 0. So to do that, we are going to use, should we write a function? Actually, I don't think we need to write a function for this. Yeah, let's write a function. We're going to write a function called buy upgrade. Let's do it right here. Doesn't really matter where you put the functions. Let's call this buy upgrade. Okay. This function is going to determine if we have enough money to buy an upgrade. If we do, it's going to allow us to purchase an upgrade. It's going to reduce that amount of money from our score, and it's going to change our auto income once we've successfully bought an upgrade. Okay, pretty easy to do. So we need to globalize some variables here. Global score. We're going to need score for this. We're going to need upgrade cost, and we're going to need auto income. So we're going to need all of our variables globalized for this function. Then let's just do a quick check. If score is greater than or equal to upgrade cost, then that means we have enough to buy the next upgrade. So what we'll do is say score. First, we'll subtract the amount from our score, minus equals upgrade cost. So we'll basically take, if the upgrade costs 10, we'll take 10 from our score, so on and so forth. Okay. Then we will set our auto income to increase by 1, so plus equals 1. We want to increase our upgrade cost as well, so upgrade cost, we'll say plus equals 5. We'll make it more expensive by 5 every time you buy one. Then, you know what? We're going to need to redraw this button because it's not going to actually update it until we redraw it. So let's actually just copy this and let's redraw the button there so that it actually updates this upgrade cost thing. And then we want to update our score as well. Okay, perfect. So now this function does everything we want it to do. So now all we have to do is, where is my, there it is. Now all we want to do is now we can say, basically, if we've clicked on that button, we're going to call buy upgrade. Okay, so let's do another if statement. If and negative 50 x 50. I'm going to just comment this out real quick. Let's see. So the bottom is negative 50. The top is 0. Okay? I was just checking the values on the y so we can set these parameters properly. So let's get rid of that comment. So, and negative 50, y, 0. So if we're in between if we're basically clicking on that button somewhere. All right, then we will buy upgrade. We'll just call the buy upgrade function. Perfect. All right, beautiful. I have a suspicion, I suspect that our game should work. Let's go ahead and test it out. Okay, so we have nothing on the score. I'm going to go ahead and click generate a resource. Perfect. Let's make 10 of them. Okay, beautiful. Now when I click this button, it should buy the resource and allow me to upgrade or get 1 score every second. So I'm going to click there. Notice I go down to 0, and now I'm getting 1 per second. And it's saying that it's now going to cost me 15 to buy the next generator. So let's get to 15, buy that. So now it's going up to 20. But notice that it's generating 2 per second now. So I'll keep going. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Awesome. Look at how much I'm generating per second now. It's 4 per second. That's crazy. And I can just keep going. So that's our clicker game. Those are the basic things we need for an idle game. And honestly, I could just let this run and, you know, every once in a while come back and buy some more generators and just let it go and see how big the number can get. We could also make the game a little more fun by adding some more expensive generators or labeling them in some way. Instead of just saying click me and auto or score, we can come up with a theme for the game. You know, maybe it's like if you've ever played Cookie Clicker, you have bakeries, which are your auto generator. Or if you played Adventure Capitalist, you know, you have newspaper stands or lemonade stands or whatever, right? So this is the basic idea behind an idle game. So now we're generating a bunch, and our resource gathering is just getting more and more quick every time we buy a new upgrade. Anyway, so even this core gameplay loop is kind of fun, kind of addicting to see how big the number can get. But you can make it more interesting. You can add some stuff to it. But I think we're going to leave it here for now. The core concepts are there. You can add more buttons, do more things to it. But if you understand this, then you've got everything you need to make any idle game you want. All right? Perfect. I'm going to leave it there, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for paying attention.